part 3, I guess, of our ongoing conversation and discernment around participating in the sanctuary movement.
And I'm an organizer with Isaiah. I organize our Latino undocumented immigrants in the whole state. So not every single church, but I do organize inside the metro, in suburbs, and then also in rural Minnesota. So practically 95% of my leaders and my base that run our campaigns on immigration are undocumented. And we have been running the driver's license campaign. So in 2003, driver's license was taken away, not through legislation, but through an executive rulemaking through Governor Pawlenty. And then after that, every single person that's an immigrant hasn't been able to apply for a driver's license. And there are people that have been able to renew it, and that's actually legal because it was only a rule change, but that will change soon, and that's one of our biggest fears. And then I've also ran the campaign against CCA, which just rebranded because they have a horrible track record around private detention centers and private prisons. And they're trying to open one up here in Minnesota. We currently don't have private detention centers or prisons in Minnesota. So when we found out, we were completely on board to not let that happen. And I guess that's kind of like an overview of the work I do before crisis hit us on election day. And I myself, I'm 25 right now, and out of those 25 years, I've been undocumented 22 years in the country. My parents brought me here when I was 2, and 3 years ago, I was able to apply for DACA. For those of you that don't know a lot about DACA, it's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So it was an administrative order that President Obama did for young people that came to the country when they were really young and started realizing that they weren't able to get jobs that that they were qualified for. They weren't able to drive. They weren't able to go to school. So a lot of people, I say this, that it was an administrative order, but the reality is it wouldn't have happened if young people wouldn't have stood up and actually fought for it. And throughout the time that these young people were fighting for it, almost everyone told them that they were wrong. Almost everyone told them, you should be quiet, you shouldn't pressure the president this way, you're not gonna get what you want. And they still did it. So to me, it's a really good example of resilience and really knowing when you stand in your truth. And those young people knew that something was wrong, and they stood at it. Whether everyone told them that they were wrong, they knew that they were right. And because of that, I was able to get a work permit and get a driver's license, and for the past 3 years work with Isaiah and actually do something that I love to do, and be able to drive and everything. But unfortunately, President-elect Donald Trump has threatened to take that away, and has threatened to not only take that away, but go after all of us that applied for it. We're the group that has given immigration everything. We gave them all our information. When I applied for it, they had me write down every address that I lived in since I arrived to this country, since I was 2. They have everything. I barely, was able to get an apartment that I wanted to live in. I had to get a lease because I had no credit and they wouldn't sell me a car, so I had to get a lease. So I would lose my job. I would lose my home, and I would lose my car. And quite frankly, those are material things, right? Which, to be honest, isn't the first time. I've lost all those things. My mom became a single mom when I was 9, and she had 3 daughters, and all of us were undocumented. And we grew up in a time when E-Verify came. And E-Verify is a system that was put in place to check people's status in workplaces. And a lot of people lost their jobs in that time. And my mom lost her job, and I remember we cleaned offices since I can remember that I could clean. And we would clean offices at night, and she would be a saleswoman in the day, and she worked factory jobs, and the police would harass us a lot when it was just racial profiling. Like, they saw we were Latino and they would stop us. And They took away our car like 3 times when I was younger, and then our cars were probably worth less than $2,000, and sometimes they would charge us more than $1,000 to take the car out of the impound. So we wouldn't get our car back because it was just, we didn't have the money. So then she wouldn't be able to go clean the offices that we had, and then she couldn't sell anything because we didn't have a car to drive around. So then she would lose her jobs, and then we couldn't pay rent. And this was a cycle for many years until we became homeless. And the thing about being homeless when you're undocumented is we can't apply for food stamps, we can't apply for government housing. And she told me we wouldn't even tell the school that we were homeless because we were scared to get deported. So I vividly remember spending a winter in an abandoned house with no heat, no hot water, nothing, and not being able to tell anyone. And at that time and that age, I couldn't understand why that was happening to us, and like the big systems and structures that had made this happen to us. I just knew that we weren't okay, and we didn't have where to live, and my mom couldn't get a job, and everyone blamed her. Everyone in society, even family members, everyone would blame her. So it just seemed, right, obvious to blame her because she was the parent. She was the one that was supposed to provide. And then now I'm realizing I've lost everything. Everything that's being threatened to be taken away from me, I've lost it already. We've lost our home. We've lost cars before. We've lost jobs. We've lost everything. And I believe, the moment we're in right now and what's happening with the elections and how people are getting treated, because I speak with my leaders and they're already getting treated bad. I work with Ascension, which is in North Minneapolis, and they did a poll only for the people that stayed for Bible study. So it was just a group of teens and young kids and the parents. And so not even like 1/3 of the church did this poll. And one of the questions to the students was, are you scared that you or someone in your family is going to get deported and you're going to be separated from your parents? And 70% of them said yes. These are children that are probably citizens that are worried, sick about being separated from their parents. And that makes me think of us, and I think what scares me the most is losing my family. Because losing everything around these material things is one thing, but he has threatened to go after DACA recipients. And I think I don't have anywhere to go to. I have family over there, but we send them money so they can make ends meet. And I don't know what I would do over there. I don't know if there's job possibilities because the crime rate over there is horrible in the state that I'm from. And then I think a lot of people where I come from think that when you come from here, you have a lot of money. And you don't. And a lot of people get kidnapped for ransom, and your family can't pay it. And for men, they end up killing them, and women get raped. And I think of all these fears of like, what's gonna happen to myself? What's gonna happen to my mom? What's gonna happen to my sisters? What's gonna happen to my niece? That's a US citizen, but both her parents aren't. Where is she gonna go? And in between all these fears, I'm not isolated. The thing is, there's millions and millions of immigrants that right now are going through these fears. And there's not one single conversation that I have had with them, thank you, where they don't end up crying like I'm crying. They're not sleeping at night. But there's one thing that was very clear to me in some of the trainings that we had around sanctuary, and it's, when I think about my faith And when I think about what God has said, and when I think of all the things that my family has gone through and lost, the only thing that has gotten me through these things is my faith in God. The only thing that lets me get up in the morning is my faith in God. And that's true for all my leaders. The only reason they have ran campaigns being undocumented is because of their faith. And that's when we all started thinking after the elections, what is our role, right? As a faith-based organization, what is our role? If our base are churches, what is our role? And sanctuary was the first thing that came up. Because there has been a history, churches that have came out and declared history, right? Through sanctuary, through history. But the reality is that sanctuary is not only, okay, we're gonna help someone. It's not that. It's not charity. You're actually saying, I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with people that are targeted and are put as undocumented immigrants for them to be treated like less than. Because that's not what my faith has taught me. That's not what Jesus and God and everything, right, and the Bible has said to me. And the reason why we want to make it public is because what we're realizing right now is that most things are going to go through the court of public opinion. I actually I cannot dictate my life right now. I have no hold on what's going to happen to me and my family. None whatsoever. But the public does. People actually do. And if we don't stand up to this right now, there's going to be a million more things that are going to happen. And they're going to keep happening. Because we never said no. And it's as easy as that. We never said no. I remember when I was a little girl studying about the Holocaust, I thought to myself, how could this happen? How could this have happened? I don't understand it. I thought to myself, how can a whole nation let this happen? And since the election, I have seen how it happened. I actually have seen how it happened. Because we let fear dictate everything. My community is scared of so many things, and we run on fear. And I'm scared how people are going to look at me if I declare sanctuary. I'm scared what people are going to think. I'm scared what the public is going to say. Everything is out of fear, right? But then what does our faith say about it? That's I think the biggest question that I have asked myself through the sanctuary work, because I am scared. There's so many things I'm scared of. I just told you what I'm scared right now in a personal view, but then there's another whole set of things that I'm scared of creating a sanctuary network. And people that I know are scared of it. But the reality right now is that sanctuary is one piece of a big pie. There's a million things that need to happen nationally and statewide to protect immigrants. And sanctuary is one piece of it. And what I think is happening right now is that we are being called to answer. We are all being called to something right now. And the question is, are you going to answer that call? And my call might not look the same as yours, but we are all being called to something right now. And everyone needs to take that call for things to go the way they're supposed to go. And, we have right now 14 congregations that already declared sanctuary or sanctuary support. And I have a list right here of what that means for sanctuary and sanctuary support that you guys can have, so you can see. But people, have questions, and who are we supporting, and who's going to come in here, and how many people? And the thing is that I have been telling this to everyone, even in the immigration work, no one knows what we're facing right now. We don't. Sanctuary won't look the same now as it did before, because the way I see it is like we have a new beast, and we don't even know, how big that beast is, how horrible it's going to be, how it's going to target. We don't know anything. But what I do know is that right now, the way I think sanctuary would work is there's people that are fighting deportation cases right now. There's people that have deportation orders. There's people that maybe have an immigration case and their lawyer thinks it's strategic for you to go into sanctuary to win your case. Or your case is getting so complicated then maybe they will try to deport you. You should go into sanctuary. That's the first layer of people I think about. Then the second layer of people I think about are, I went home today and immigration was knocking at my door. And I'm undocumented and my family's undocumented, so it doesn't make sense for me to go to my sister's house or my aunt's house, because then I'm putting them in danger. And I don't have anywhere else to go. Just this Sunday, I was in an immigration forum with a Latino community, and this lady came up to me and she was like, I have no family here and I have 3 kids. Is there a church that can take in my kids if I get detained? Because I have no one to call. And that is the truth. I have been running immigration Know Your Rights forums, and the whole entire package is a 7-page packet that tells them what to do if immigration catches you. And people have to make family plans right now of where are their children gonna go? What are they gonna do? Who are they gonna call? And some people don't have anyone to call. That's the second layer of people I see needing sanctuary. And then we have this whole entire unknown around DACA recipients. We're talking 15 to 30-year-olds right now, around that range, of people that can apply for DACA and don't even know if their livelihood is gonna be stripped from them, and then if they're gonna be targeted. Some of these kids have never even gone back to their country since the moment they came in. So that's what I think about sanctuary. It's not like people are gonna just run in here, like if, it was Black Friday. And the reason I say this is because just the thought of that kind of bothers me, because we as immigrants have never felt like we have any right to anything in this country. Nothing. So people are not going to feel like they have the right to go and just declare something and make it their own. And quite frankly, declaring sanctuary is so difficult because you would let go of everything. Your home, your kids, your life. Some people won't even be able to go outside to get a breath of fresh air. Think about that. Think about having to let go of everything and not being even able to go outside and breathe fresh air until in a time that you don't even know when. So even that's not easy. And the reality is there's gonna be raids that we can't control. And it's not like we can go and tell ICE, you're not taking them because we're putting you into sanctuary. So the reality is there's gonna be so many people who are gonna be taken without us being able to do anything for them. So like when I think about sanctuary, I think about those layers of people, right? And Isaiah, for churches that have declared, we have 15 churches right now, including yourselves, that are going through a discernment process. And then we have the 14 who already declared. After January 28th, our big event, we're gonna call monthly meetings, sanctuary meetings. The churches that have declared sanctuary and sexual support will be invited into those meetings. And there will be, we will ask the churches to pick 1 or 2 key people that are gonna be going to these meetings. And we're gonna equip them with intake process. So how do you intake someone, like how do you take someone into the church? What are the things that need to be put into place, right? A structure. We're developing a crew of lawyers, criminal defense lawyers, to give you advice on how to not get in trouble, Like how can these lawyers actually defend sanctuary congregations? ALA, which is the Association for Immigration Lawyers, they're actually creating a team of immigration lawyers that are going to help sanctuary congregations because they're so happy this is happening and they want to support in the best way they can. And then we have PICO, which is a national organization that is giving us support on a national basis, which, they're doing a national sanctuary movement. But we, as Isaiah, are actually kind of lead on it. We're actually kind of moving faster than most congregations. So most states. So there's certain things and structures we're going to put in place to support, right, the churches and sanctuary congregations that will declare. But we're not going to put it all out there because as of now, it's all a matter of security and who knows what. And we don't want 100 people to know where someone is and how to get a hold of them, because then what's the point of keeping someone and protecting them and making sure they're okay? So those are kind of like the things that we have in place right now for all the churches that declare sanctuary. And two last things I want to say is we're so scared of national right now, And the reality is that as of last Tuesday, the Minnesota House introduced 3 files that are anti-immigrant. 3 House files. One is against driver's license. It would not only not let us get driver's license, it would not let us get them at all, ever. So even letting us fight for them. The second is around federal detainer laws. It would make the state comply with federal detainer laws. This means that every city that has declared sanctuary city, like St. Paul, that's not going to matter anymore. So the police officers are going to have to hand over and cooperate with immigration on everything they do. And that's only the structure that's going to happen. Worst case scenario with this House file, which is House File 26, it would move us into becoming a state like Arizona, where police officers actually start functioning as ICE agents. That means asking for documentation from people anywhere. If they call in a crime, that's done to them. If they're just driving and they get some ticket, like a normal ticket, where's your documentation? And then they'll detain them for immigration to come get them. And then there's House File 29, which we're actually trying to study because it's so full of things. But what I do know about it now is that it would let certain companies hire undocumented workers and keep paying them minimum wage or bad wages, not give them documentation in the country, and then they would comply with federal detainer laws. So when I think about this file, I think, oh great, big companies are going to be able to hire undocumented workers, not give them any good wages, and then be able to call immigration on them whenever they want. That's slavery. And you know what's sad about all these 3 files? Well, at least the last 2, those are actually already happening. They happen all the time. But nobody knows about them because we're quiet. But now these would make it into law. This is only on a state level. And they're already trying to pass this through. If these were to happen by March, some of them would already be into law. It's like 3 corners of our livelihood. It would target every single area of our lives. And that's only state level. And part of what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the governor and some of these representatives or senators to support us and to stand against them and say, I'm not going to vote for this. I'm not going to let this happen. But we can't. I have spent my last 2 weeks at the Capitol by myself, and let me tell you, I walk out of there completely defeated because it's just me and a few others. And what I have learned the last 2 years running a driver's license campaign is we ran some of the best campaign on driver's license nationally, and we still didn't win. And you know why we didn't win? Because there was a lot of brown people at the Capitol fighting for it. That's why we didn't win. I was told by some of them, I'm not going to believe you because I was Latina and I was brown. So Laura's going to talk more about this, but we have this event on January 28th, and we really need everyone there because we need the governor. We want 1,500 people there saying immigrants matter, right? Everyone's saying they should be able to get a driver's license if they pay taxes. The IRS gives us an ITIN number, which is an individual taxpaying identification number that we get from the beginning we're here. And we pay taxes every year. We get state, federal, everything, Social Security, that we will never see that money, ever. We pay their wages, and yet they won't give us a driver's license. And the governor right now, I met with his staff last week, and the message we're getting is that if he gets this file around driver's license, he'll probably sign it. So we need more people saying this isn't right. You need to stop this. So Laura's I have to head to another forum. I have like a million forums happening like right now, but Laura's gonna talk more about January 28th and give you more perspective of why we not only need everyone here in the room there, but we need your friends and your family and everyone, your neighbor, like whoever. Yeah. We need everyone there because we have to hit 1,500 for it to be like there's 1,500 people in a room, 1,500 people of faith, 1,500 people that support people of faith, or whatever it is. You don't even have to go to a church to stand up to this. And if it's not us, then quite frankly, I don't know who's gonna be. That's like my biggest question. So, I wanna really thank you guys for listening to me. I think, to me, it's been a blessing doing this work, with the faith community, because I do feel like it is a calling. And, quite frankly, if all of you here would move towards something like this, it's worth it to me. Because it's one more person, one more person, and January 28th is gonna be one more person that's gonna be supporting this issue. So, thank you guys.